do you know if your blood sugar is balanced? This is a question that my clients are constantly asking, and I usually say, you tell me. Do you have low energy, brain fog, sleeplessness? Are you feeling irritable, have gut issues? If you answered yes to any or all of these things, then stick around because in this video, we are going to unpack blood sugar balancing, especially if you have chronic illness or autoimmune, and what it means for you. Hello, and welcome to this growing community of people who are ready to get out of chronic illness, escape from mystery symptoms, and want to get fit, energized, and pain free in ways that are easy, fun, and sustainable. My clients will often ask me, is my blood sugar balanced? And my answer is usually, you tell me. Let me explain a little bit why I give the answer that I do, because I always want my clients to feel educated and empowered about their own bodies. Now, if you are eating low calorie and not losing weight, or you're gaining weight, you likely have an issue with your gut microbiome. It could also be a liver issue. You might have too many toxins, stagnant liver, and you're not detoxifying properly. Your gut and liver health affect your hormone balance. Gut hormones affect every bodily function there is. When you're not digesting properly, you're likely not pooping. If you're not pooping, you're likely not excreting waste properly. This goes back to detoxification. So if your body is having a harder time digesting because your blood sugar is imbalanced, you probably aren't getting good quality sleep, which then in turn diminishes your body's capacity to repair tissues and remove toxins from the day. Do you see how it is a vicious cycle? So, where to begin? I'm so glad you asked. You can start by balancing your blood sugar with your meals and snacks. Make sure that they contain fat, fiber, and protein. Those are the three components that we like to focus on. It's the fiber that's going to keep your blood sugar balanced. It's the fiber that mitigates the insulin response to any glucose spike in your food. The fat will give you energy and support your heart and your brain. Yes, fat. Fat is good. We want fat. And the protein will also help balance your blood sugar. You'll have satiety cues and help your cells to renew and replenish. Now, the mechanisms of blood sugar management have to do with, yes, the food and the meals and the snacks that we're having, but also the lifestyle part of the diet and lifestyle modification that we talk about so much in functional nutrition. And in our daily lives, we are inundated with so much stress on a daily basis. How we respond to those varieties of stressors affects our blood sugar balancing as well. So, when we think about our nervous system, you have the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. Your parasympathetic nervous system is when that's activated, you are more calm. It is more supportive of regular metabolism, the regular actions of your liver, of your heart, of your neurological systems. They're functioning optimally. If there is a swing in your blood sugar from low to high, or especially from high to low, it triggers the sympathetic nervous system to say, oh my gosh, we're in danger, or I'm starving, we're going to die. Your sympathetic nervous system is what triggers cortisol, which is your stress response. It increases your hormones and it can shut off normal metabolisms to gut and liver so that your body can focus on staying alive. It is your fight, flight, or freeze response. And when that's activated, it raises your blood sugar or your cortisol to get into that fight. It doesn't matter if you need to lose weight or digest your food or think about an exam or a relationship. It doesn't matter. All that matters is saving your life. It's a very primal instinct. And that is the stress response. And so we want to get out of that. The problem isn't cortisol itself. We need a regular, healthy stress response. Your cortisol is what helps give you your get up and go in the morning time. That's what wakes you up. You want cortisol levels to be high. It's called your cortisol awakening response. That's going to be high in the morning, and it starts to level off as the day goes on. If your cortisol is high, your melatonin is going to be low. If your cortisol is low, your melatonin is going to be high and helps you get good sleep. It's the sustained cortisol that becomes problematic. And we can have control over not having that sustained cortisol, which causes inflammation, which causes more insulin to be released from your pancreas to bring down that inflammation and to get any excess glucose into cells. Every time you have a blood sugar spike and that insulin spikes, that causes accelerated aging to your organs. That's what helps us to gain weight and have all of these metabolic issues because you have dysregulation. So when the body isn't focused on parasympathetic calming and toning, then you're doing the opposite. You're in the arousal phase of your adrenals. And so in this excitatory state, that's when we're stimulating all of the bad things that shouldn't be happening all of the time. It's that elevated cortisol, that elevated blood sugar, your neurotransmitters, your adrenaline, right? That's your run, that's your excitement, your epinephrine. They're on high alert because your life is in danger. There is a saber-toothed tiger that is coming to get you. Except that in modern day, that's not what it is. It's often perceived as stressors can be perceived anxiety over a perceived outcome that hasn't even happened yet. That can stress us out, right? Our food that we eat can give us stress by causing inflammation if we have sensitivities to certain foods, right? Toxins in our environment can be stressors. Relationships, work, finances, the world at large can all be stressors that we internalize and affect our blood sugar balancing. So it's impacting many systems. And when you have these delta, these big swings from high to low in your blood sugar, that's where the damage is done. It's not that it raises, that's normal. That's a normal blood sugar response. You eat food, it's going to raise. What you don't want is a huge spike and a huge crash. That's where the problems come in. And so you need to be able to detoxify, right? And so if you have low blood sugar, would your liver be detoxifying? No, it's shutting down because your body thinks it's in danger, that maybe there's famine. So it's not worried about detoxifying. It's just like, well, we're starving. We need to have sugar into our cells for our brain and just so our body will work. Your hormones and your neurological systems, if your liver is not detoxifying, then it's not breaking down hormones. So then you have, for those of you with estrogen dominance and PCOS, you're going to have cortisol through the roof because those hormones are not being broken down and processed through your liver to be excreted out. Now, what about the mind and spirit and emotional part of your life? So here's a little tip. When I'm working with my clients, we create something called a functional nutrition matrix. And basically, it's a map of your life. And all of the petals that are in the middle are all of the different body systems. With all of these systems, we can take a look at, oh, wow, so you're having blood sugar dysregulation. It's here how it's impacting your detoxification and your hormones and your mind and spirit. So all of the parts that make you, the soup. And we will map it all out so we can see all of the areas that need to be addressed. And when we start to fix underlying issues, when we start to balance the blood sugar, you see that those areas start to, if they might be, those petals might be all filled up, they start to lessen because we are having a better understanding of how your body works or how it needs to work or what it needed to function optimally. And so we can map out how any dysfunction is affecting all of the body systems, which is why you might have so many symptoms. When you're chronically ill, you might have one diagnosis and a dozen symptoms because all of the different body systems are being impacted, even though you just thought you had IBS. You just thought you had estrogen dominance. right? So if we're looking at your mind and spirit and the emotion, anxiety, depression, brain fog, loss of self. So all of that is going to come from these swings. That stress response, the undermanaged stress response. So especially for women, we're concerned about our bone health. Everybody should be concerned about gut health and the structural integrity of your gut. So if you have high cortisol on a regular basis, that can cause brittle bones. It can cause your body to deteriorate and store extra fat. This is why stress management is not just a woo-woo thing. It is a biological imperative that you get the blood sugar management handled. When you don't have structural integrity, you get leaky gut. That's literally what leaky gut is permeability in the intestinal lining. Your immune system is 80% of it is in the gut. It stems from the gut. And so it makes all of the antibodies of defense. And so if you have leaky gut, what do you get? Infection, dysbiosis, inflammation. So all of these things, all of these downstream logical conclusions, but when we map it out, you don't necessarily see it until we map it out. And how one little thing like blood sugar management that your doctor may not tell you you need to worry about because you're not diabetic or you're not pre-diabetic, so it doesn't matter. But over time, can you see how this impacts all of your body's systems and your quality of life? If we don't address this, we're building your foundation on quicksand. That's why it's a non-negotiable. When you work with me, blood sugar balancing is non-negotiable, is one of the things that we work on first. Poop, sleep, blood sugar balance. Those are the three things. I don't care what diagnosis you have. We're going to make sure that all of those things are in check, because otherwise we are attending to one symptom when all of these other symptoms are raging like a fire. Or Dale Bredesen of the Cleveland Clinic has said, the analogy of his work working with Alzheimer's patients, it's like there's 36 holes in the roof and an Alzheimer drug is only plugging one. And so, yeah, I can fix this one symptom, but it's raining and there are 36 holes in your roof. There are 35 holes that are still unplugged. It's still raining. So this applies beautifully, illustrates beautifully how we work in functional nutrition. There is always something to be done, even if there are those many holes, and we want to plug as many as possible. And so it's important to remember that your hormones break down in your large intestine with all of that bacteria there. So we have to think about, how does that impact your liver detoxification? We want your blood sugar balanced every day so that it's not feeding the bad bacteria in your gut, bad bacteria, and we're not having fatty liver where it doesn't break down toxins or hormones and perpetuates this cycle. Your body holds the answers. And so our job together is to understand the why. Why is this happening? How can we fix this? What now? And so when people have sugar cravings, I am a professed recovered sugar junkie. It's the sugar cravings, and from having a lot of pain and sensitivities, there is a lot of food trauma in my community, in our community. It's extremely high. And so I'm constantly understanding about that, and we have to know and understand, like, hey, this is a reality of what you're experiencing right now. Here's how we're going to fix it together. It might be baby steps, or we might be able to go faster. It all depends on you. It all depends on how long you've been sick, how inflamed you are, and what your tolerance is, what your willingness, what your environment is. There are psychological reasons why people can feel overwhelmed, and that also affects your blood sugar management. But we have tools where we're going to handle that, diet and lifestyle. But it's all critical if you want your body to heal. We have to understand the reasons why your body and your brain can't take on certain information. You might be having symptoms of withdrawal because we've taken out some foods that are making you feel more depressed or anxious or fatigued. But that's temporary. It's because you were addicted to them. And so bringing in those tools, giving grace, having some understanding, and using mindset techniques to help you when things feel too hard, when you are struggling with that balance, and to try to find that sweet spot. But I'm telling you, anybody with chronic illness or autoimmune, you can pretty much assume that you have a problem with blood sugar balancing, and that is a non negotiable. And so, to recap, how would high blood sugar or going from high to low impact your liver? Think about that. We want to balance your macronutrients. It's the protein, fat, and fiber. This is not about fasting. If you are sick, if you have all of these chronic symptoms, we're not going to recommend intermittent fasting. Not that there's not a place for it down the road, but we don't fast sick people. And so we eat multiple times throughout the day. And one of the biggest pains in our community is fatigue, having fatigue in the afternoon and insomnia at night. And you think that it's hormones, but it's actually low blood sugar, which is hormonally impacted, hormonally related. So we like to implement a snack before bed. Implementing blood sugar mastery into your life will be a game changer. And your symptoms, ADHD, POTS, they're often treated with meds, but it's essentially a blood sugar problem. Nothing is untreatable. We have to address the non-negotiables and look for the wisdom in your body. And we discover that as we apply all of the different techniques. I hope that this is helpful for you. Please share this video with somebody who needs to hear it. And if you need more individualized help, be sure to get my chronic illness recovery guide, where I walk you through step by step how I work with my clients, the steps that took me 10 years to figure out, but it won't take you 10 years to start seeing results. See you in the next video. Bye for now.